A department store the size of 10 city blocks. I know that sounds absolutely insane. Can you imagine the amount of walking you'd have to do to get all of your groceries? What if you forgot to grab something and had to backtrack? Your trip to the store could become its own odyssey. But unlike Odysseus, this behemoth of a department store actually did exist right here in sunny St. Pete. And it was called Webb City. In the late 1920s, an ambitious man by the name of James Earl Webb, commonly referred to as Doc, had a revolutionary idea that was decades before its time. No, this was not James Edwin Webb, who the famous space telescope is named after, but their names are comically similar. This James Webb's dreams were more commercial than celestial, with him moving from Nashville to sunny St. Pete in 1915 to help a friend operate a drugstore. But his timing couldn't have been worse, as the famous Florida land boom would end just a year later, causing the economic depression in the area. It did work out in his favor, however, as he was able to buy his partner out of the business. With full ownership of the store, Webb set his sights on a project like nothing Florida had ever seen. His new venture would open in 1926 as a humble 17 by 28 foot store. This was the beginning of Webb City, then known as Webb's Cut Rate Drug Company. But this venture wasn't smooth sailing for Doc quite yet. He was surrounded by competition whose stores were in better locations than his. So he focused on undercutting competitors, frequently selling at a loss to get people in the door. Webb would place ads in the St. Petersburg Times right next to his competitors, promising to undercut their prices by at least 30%. Over time, he'd continue to bombard the paper with ads for his shop, and this is a practice that would only grow with Webb City. By 1958, James Earl Webb was the 15th largest advertiser in the entire United States. This aggressive marketing strategy allowed Webb to quickly outgrow many of his competitors as he expanded his store further and further, only increasing his offerings with each edition. By 1940, Webb's Cut Rate Drug Company spanned an entire city block. To get customers in the door during the Depression, he instituted a variety of small entertainment displays. Visitors could see tightrope walking roosters, mini circuses, and talking mermaids among many other offerings. After World War II, Webb's Cut Rate Drug Company became Webb City, the one-stop shop, 20 years before even the first Walmart. The retail giant only continued its meteoric growth in the following years, reaching over 1,000 full-time employees in 1949. That same year, to fight ever-increasing competition and growing prominence of the suburbs, Webb City Annex opened with a variety of new departments and adding 8,500 square feet of retail space. The growth continued through the early 1950s with the addition of a rooftop garden and a dance studio, adding another 1,000 square feet to the ever-growing city. During this time, annual sales exceeded 16 million, with over 30,000 customers arriving each day. By 1957, Webb City included 59 different departments with 433,000 square feet of retail space, covered over 6 city blocks, and employed over 1,600 people. Before the end of the decade, a 7-story furniture store was added to the burgeoning retail empire. The good deals couldn't last forever though, as economic pressures continued to mount against Webb in the 1960s. Times were changing and they were changing fast, and for the first time, Webb City was starting to lose ground. The incoming young professionals to the region had very little interest in the downtown area as they seeked the comfort of the suburbs. This was only worsened by new shopping centers springing up all over the area, providing competition in Webb's one-stop shop niche. So he dealt with these problems the only way he knew how, with further expansion. The various Webb stores began a laundry list of aggressive additions, updates, and changes that carried them into the 70s. With Webb City now housing 75 stores and covering 10 city blocks, the brand continued to fight for survival among various social and economic pressures. But these problems would only worsen as even the city officials of St. Petersburg started looking past the retail monolith. Sales continued slowing into the 70s, and an increasing crime rate in downtown only worsened this. Webb City's appeal was fading fast as the younger residents of Pinellas County began shifting away from the now tacky attractions that once brought customers in by the thousand. All that remained was Webb's mainly elderly and lower income demographic, causing city officials, real estate developers, and the general public to begin disparaging the brand. Among these issues, many personal tragedies struck James Earl Webb at this time. His right-hand man and closest friend, J. Horace Willis, passed away in 1972. This was followed by Webb's wife, Aretta, succumbing to a long battle with cancer less than a year later. Both of these events devastated the aging Doc Webb, causing him to officially retire as president of Webb City on February 1st, 1974. 6 days later, he shocked shareholders and the city of St. Petersburg by selling his controlling stake in the company. This same year, for the first time in a very long time, Webb City reported a loss in annual income of over $3 million. The rest of the 70s would prove to be no better for the struggling retail brand. Efforts to acquire much-needed cash flow continued to fail as the writing on the wall began covering all 10 blocks of retail space. On August 18, 1979, after over half a century in business, James Earl Webb's retail behemoth that came to define St. Petersburg would officially close its doors for the last time, leaving behind a massive abandoned structure that would serve as a grim reminder of fun-filled memories for the residents of Pinellas County. James Earl Webb would pass away just 3 years later on June 4, 1982. The St. Petersburg Times would run stories on the legendary salesman's life and legacy for days after his passing as the community came together in mourning. 2 more years would pass, and the now derelict and vandalized Webb City, a symbol of a bygone era, would be demolished in 1984. But remnants of the world's most unusual drugstore can still be seen elsewhere across St. Pete. This building was once Webb City Furniture and Carpets before U-Haul acquired the building in 1979. Webb's Plaza, a small and honestly unremarkable strip mall, stands where a portion of Webb City once was. St. Pete is also home to Webb City Cellars, a winery that opened in 2019 whose name pays homage to the retail giant. Finally, a musical showcasing the history of both Webb City and its founder would premiere in 2000 and play in various theaters in the Tampa Bay region over the course of its run. Webb City was something to be admired. It was a one-stop shop long before Walmart, Target, and other big box stores were even a consideration. And in my opinion, it was a better version of these boring and minimalistic big box stores that we see today. Webb City was not only massive, but fun for all ages as well, with its various entertainment offerings and innumerable departments all spanning over 10 city blocks. It may not have been perfect, but it still left a lasting impact on the city that fostered it. I truly wish I could have been able to wander through its expansive buildings and experience everything the city had to offer. I mean, Walmart and Target are cool and all, but you probably wouldn't see a mermaid exhibit or tightrope walking chickens there today, and that kinda sucks. I miss when stores would draw people in with weird and wacky marketing tactics instead of just targeted social media ads and fake discounts. In this era of boring, beige, and corporate retail and dining experiences, we could use more James Earl Webbs in the world to add that little bit of fun that we so frequently lack today. Let me know down below if you miss when going shopping was, actually fun, because I know it certainly isn't for me today. Maybe it's just because I'm an adult. I don't know. But if you enjoyed the video, please feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps me out, but I appreciate you watching, so thank you.